I'll be doing now is we'll start off with a little bit of an activation. It's something that some of you would know, but it's just it's a way to connect with the higher earth and higher frequency energy that I learned in the mystery school, but I've really been doing for quite a few years with pretty spectacular results using higher energy technology. So what we'll be doing is I'll show you, then I'll just have a sacred geometry in front of us. So I'll be getting us first to connect to Mother Earth, and what I will do, it's only going to be a couple of minutes or a few minutes. So just as I'm explaining this to you, you can start by slowing down your breathing. So you're breathing through the nose for 4 counts, holding for 4 counts, and breathing out of your mouth for 8. Going through your nose for 4 counts and then doubling it for the mouth, it basically is well known to settle the nervous system and move you into a more quieter, relaxed, deeper brain state to feel energy and be more receptive. So that's just giving you a little bit of a guideline. Second thing we will be doing is connecting to the universal, what's called frequency, or which is around about 7 to 10 hertz, somewhere around that, depending who you believe. And that will just be a command that I will give, but because you are now breathing deeper, through the nose for 4, hold for 4, and out of your mouth for 8, you will find that you will very quickly and easily do it. Then what I'm going to do is ask you to mentally project a vortex around you. A vortex, there's many books on the Earth's energies and teaching around that. And it's well known that vortexes are a way used in mystery schools to connect with higher energy. In extreme cases, used by great prophets who are used to ascend and do things like that. So we will just get you to do that, and I'll instruct you through that. I'll get you to mentally project a pyramid over yourself and over the whole group, so 2 pyramids. And then we'll be sending love to higher archangels, Uriel, Raphael, Michael, and Gabriel, who are the 4 main archangels of the higher universal order, who oversee things. Metatron, who is basically the go-to vehicle or archangel who works with the order of Enoch to move into that straight through to the Father. Melchizedek, Grand Master of the universe, and of course Jesus Christ. I always do this to make absolutely certain that we have no guides or energies that don't align with the Council of 9 or any of the other higher beings that are here for the good of planet Earth. And I'll be making a statement and command that is saying, are you aligned with the order of Melchizedek, the order of Enoch, and the office and the blood of Christ? I was taught this in mystery and as well directly ordered by the Council of 9, because we're living in a world with so much misinformation and false spirit guides, which I'm sure many of you have been deceived, tricked, and gone all over the place, wondering what on earth happened. So let's go and start. And I'm going to basically take you back to this code just to help you, okay? So it's a sacred geometry code, and all you have to do is focus all your mental energy into the center of your head, right where your third eye is, and continue to breathe through the nose for 4, hold for 4, and out for 8. And just imagine and feel connected to Mother Earth. Feel like a cord, like a root, a vine going out of your feet, down to the center of the earth and just connecting there and tying itself into the center of Mother Earth. Feel the grounding and send her love. And then feel the energy come up through the earth, through your body, through your central vertical channel, out through your head or crown chakra, and go right up into the Father universe, to Father heaven, to the higher realms. to build that heaven and earth connection. Now let's just imagine, and I'll make a command that I align my frequency, and you can do this with me in your heart, with the universal energy field and Mother Earth. Just feel that you start to settle and calm from all of the activities, and noticing how you're starting to settle really nicely. That's better. I can feel the shift. Now just to project a very fast vortex, like a golden vortex going at the speed of light all around you, clockwise. And just feel how as it's going there, it's really activating and awakening your energy and removing any energy that's not aligned with the higher vibration. And then to increase further your energy, just project and imagine a white crystalline pyramid coming right over your whole being, and right over the whole group, a second pyramid. And in fact, we'll do a third tiny pyramid right over your third eye in the center of your forehead. And now, just send love to archangels Michael, who's leading the war against the higher level forces of darkness led by Belial. So Archangel Michael, Archangel Gabriel, Archangel Uriel, and Archangel Raphael. Metatron, Grandmaster Melchizedek, and Yeshua, Jesus Christ, and the Heavenly Father and the Holy Spirit for good measure. We invite and welcome and thank you for their energies and presence. And just give thanks that we command and order that all guides who in any way not aligned with these energies and with this order, angelic order, be removed now, or not in alignment with the Council of Nine's authority. And we allow all guides and beings who are permitted by these to come in and be part of what's happening. And if you're sensitive to energy, you'd be feeling massive tingling right now, or something going on in your head, your third eye, within your whole being. So this is like really giving you a little bit of love and a bit of a clean out, just to allow these beings to just comfort you, to just really help raise your energy and vibration, and feel their love for all of humanity and for all of you. And as you send them your love, just feel their gratitude for being here. Yes, they're serious right now, but they're smiling. And just know that they're here to do good. And just give thanks that all is working out for the highest purpose and the highest good of all of mankind. And then I will finish with the Lord's Prayer, which I don't normally do but feel to do. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth in the same way it's done in the higher heavenly angelic orders and realms. Let earth be exactly like the higher angelic orders and realms in order, authority, and peace, and righteousness, and fairness, and justice to all upon planet earth. Give us this day our daily bread, that all may prosper, that all may be blessed, that all may be abundant, who walk in alignment with his higher truths, that all may be taken care of and be abundantly provided for in all levels of their life, during whatever times lie ahead upon planet Earth. And forgive us our trespasses and our karmic transgressions and fuck-ups, because for all of us, we understand that. And forgive us all as we take our responsibility for all of us in our part on planet Earth and where it is at today. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And we let go of any feelings, expectations, anywheres where we are looking harshly on others, and know that we too have fallen short of what's expected of us. And we're all here to work together to resolve and bring Earth into this new order of peace and harmony and righteousness. Lead us not into temptation. Lead us not into a place of severe or hard testing or anything else which we really don't need to go through. Allow adjustments and corrections quickly that we may be spared unnecessary hurt. And deliver us from evil. Deliver us from the evil and the dark and the times ahead, which many will go through some hardships. Keep us from these. For yours is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And just breathe and take a sip of water. And I'm sure that none of you would ever have heard the Lord's Prayer prayed like that. Well, I actually was praying in alignment with the original intention and what Jesus was saying, which is really about praying in your consciousness to bring in a whole new order and a whole new realm of peace, and to bring it in by raising the vibration in a harmony and bringing forgiveness not just for us, but also forgiving and just letting go of things with everyone else. So thank you, everyone. And we're all learning right now. We're all growing. We're all adjusting. So there's much still to be done. So thank you for being here, and just enjoy some water. Let's enjoy these times ahead. And let's not focus on words like what's going on, and see the higher path involved in bringing us all together far more as a community, and really getting us all back to simplicity in the basics of life and what's really important. So it's beautiful. So what I'm going to now do is start without further measures. I do have Grace who runs things with me. She's been instructed to just ensure if I'm racing too fast or losing people, or she feels I'm getting into my head and out of my heart, to just pull me up. So far, she said she's fine with things. So we've gone through this process here. We've done this. So now I'm going to share something that some of you already know and some of you probably don't. That happened to me in May 2018, on the 4th of May, on the night of my birthday. And rather than go into deep details of the lead up to it, it was basically, I was at a point where everything I was seeing and experiencing and feeling on planet Earth felt completely and utterly meaningless. And although the world and everyone around me saw me and was seeing me, although I'm being seen as this great tax speaker and this really great guy and a really good speaker and someone really awesome, deep down I felt like a fraud. I felt like I was doing something that was really overall meaningless, because all I was doing was, in a way, being like a Robin Hood, just supporting people to help them minimize their tax, but ultimately not making any real difference to a system that only, as I saw, got worse and worse. I'd made 3 attempts in my life to bring social reform, ranging from going into the Hyatt hotels and running seminars about the coming economic crash and meltdown and martial law and other stuff. And people listened for a bit, and then it just fizzled out. And teaching about the powers of darkness and what's going on for 3 years in a church called the Fruitful Vine Community Church, which I ran with Grace together. And that just didn't get through to people in the way I had expected and hoped, and I made some errors of judgment at the time. And basically also from there, I found that even before that, I'd been involved in a church in the mid-1990s that had been really making a powerful impact. I mean, the leaders of the church had ended up doing stuff that really was just the kind of stuff that church leaders do, where they lost the path and the vision, the thing kind of fell apart. And I was left absolutely, really at the time, I really felt devastated, beyond devastated, traumatized to the point where I renounced everything I believed in for a time, decided I'll just go and become a lawyer and get rich and the whole planet can go and screw itself. And that was how I felt, because I'd spent 10 years studying, praying and fasting for many hours and days for the planet to bring change and social reformation, which I'd started to do when I was 16. Because at the age of 18, I had a very profound experience where in a skeptical moment in a church, I was up the front and I got filled with what was a Holy Spirit and had a genuinely powerful experience where I was knocked out completely when I was completely skeptical and doubted the whole thing, and was knocked out and could hardly move and was speaking in this foreign language and all kinds of stuff. And I believed after that, which before that I still believed something, and I was very committed to change because I'd grown up not liking planet Earth at all, being bullied in school, hated school, didn't like my family and upbringing. And so really that was my time to go into prayer and go into seeking a higher meaning for life, because I saw no other reason to be here. So, as I said, from those times, from age basically through, and when that happened, I then went through a very severe health crisis where for 5 years I was virtually disabled and not able to do much with my life. And once I finally got back to the path, to my spiritual path, and let go of my anger and my hurt, I experienced supernatural, marvelous healing, and everything sorted. And at the time, I was completely broke, and for months I'd been living by faith. I was contracted into a law firm, making really good money, in good health, and things were working again. And it was shortly after that I began this church, Fruitful Vine. That worked really well and seemed to be working. I made an error of judgment, eventually caused some problems. It collapsed. I then lost heart again and went back into business and went all out and grew a large business. And it really took off. We became one of the fastest growing businesses called Tax Intelligence. We had a series of companies around law, finance, accounting, investment, business, everything. We were having investors wanting to buy into them and everything. And basically, again, because my heart had lost track of its mission with social reform, that too eventually collapsed. And by the time 2010 came, I had lost everything. And I was given some instructions, and I'd spent most of my life, as I said, a lot heavily in prayer, studying the Bible, mystery school writings, and various other stuff that actually happened leading up to that as well, which I won't go into now because I could be here all day. So really then from that time, I did start to fix things up, but it was still a long way to go because I was in a state of resistance and conflict. And at times I'd start to move on path and then I'd move off. And I felt in a way like I was fluctuating. And I felt I was in a business doing taxes and finance, like I said, that just, why am I doing this? And I mean, I kind of like it and I kind of don't. I do desire to make financial reform, but there's a bigger picture. I had been shown clearly my path when I was young and what I was called to build on the planet. And I kept thinking what I saw was impossible. I mean, how can this be? So I was fighting it with my logic, and I've now learned since mind control implants by dark beings and things like that, but I'll share more about, which I knew about a bit at the time, but still was, and I had some kind of work and training in that and delivered things and cleaned out spirits and other things for myself and others, but still felt, I was just basically having my challenges around things, mainly because I really just hated this whole sense of being completely different. Like I was like a leper in society. Like I was teaching what I was seeing with meltdowns and people were thinking I was extreme, apart from some people in 21st century education and other people I knew. I didn't see any clear path to do what I was seeing. I was having like tastes of it and appetizers of through private foundation movement, common law, Reformation movement, everything like that, giving me hope. But I kept feeling that hope getting smashed over and over again. And then I met a great spiritual teacher, a couple who from 2014 to 17 I worked closely with, and they took me significantly to a higher level. But as time went on, towards the end of 2017, I knew I wasn't happy. I was hating my business. I had no interest in working. I just did a few clients who I basically liked, had enough money to cover things, and that was it. And slowly I was watching my business fall apart. And what started to get me a little bit scared was I really didn't care, not in the slightest. And so as I started to examine myself more, I realized I was in a relationship at the time, which I realized was not right for me. And then in 2018, things started to change. I had a change in relationship with someone who's far more aligned than who I'm with now. But even despite that, by April in 2018, I lay in bed and thought, you know, I don't even know what my path is anymore. It's clear that what I thought my path was, I got wrong. Because I'm a bit of a realist, as people know, I like to take action quickly. I thought I clearly got this wrong. I've got to accept that now. Some gambles in life don't work. I've gambled my whole life on a big meltdown happening and a big change in society. It looks like I got that one wrong. And so I wasn't depressed. I felt depressed, but I wasn't. It's hard to explain. I was just very pragmatic. So I said, well, I don't really see any purpose for me being on the planet anymore, because yeah, sure, I've got kids and all that, and people will say, you've got to be a responsible father, may need you, but you know what? They'll move on. And basically, I've trained them right. I know I've given them the right foundation. Maybe there's a path for me to go back to source. I certainly have no intention of committing suicide, because it's a gamble which basically I would not want to take, because I have a feeling if I do that, that will only lead me to experience in a different form, which will be worse, because I've broken a chain of authority. So deep down I knew that. So I thought, so kind of get lost here. Don't know what to do, because I don't want to be here. Don't see a point of doing anything. So I thought maybe I just won't. And so in the end I just thought, okay, I just said, well, you're going to have to show me a way, because I really don't know. I'm lost as heck. And to cut a long story short, I ended up in a country rural place in the middle of nowhere, New South Wales, with somebody who I did not expect to be with, a shaman, him and me, with I came about through a series of events and synchronicities I won't tell you, and everything in me knew I was meant to be there, in my spirit, my heart. Everything in my mind told me, what are you doing here? Why are you here? So he did some work with me, and we did some activation and a lot of energy work and some unique mystery school stuff, and which he does. And he said, I'm going to now leave you to experience whatever's meant to happen for you next, and that will be your experience, and I'll just be there to guide and make sure I'm around with you. So I was lying and I was feeling the energies and feeling connected with source. And keep in mind, I'd had many supernatural and kind of experiences at 18. I'd sensed angels, I'd had brief glimpses of hearing things. And suddenly, out of nowhere, there's voices talking to me. And I was starting to sense shapes. And it's hard to explain, because it's like in those realms, you don't really see things the way we see them here. It's more just senses, energies, and you get shapes. But you kind of know what you're seeing, but you don't. And everything is telepathically spoken. It's the best way to explain. It's not like how you speak normally, like in your mind, or how we're speaking. It's very telepathic in sense, and it's different. And these beings are speaking to me. And to my astonishment, the voices they were speaking to me wasn't kind of like, we're here to show you love. They're saying, the first thing that was said to me was, what the fuck's going on? What are you going on about with this not knowing your purpose? And that proceeded about an hour of conversation. And I'm talking, and then I said, who are you? And all they said was, we are the 9. I said, 9 what? And they said, we are the 9. And they were serious, they wouldn't say much. And there was one guy leading them. And he was like, the only way I could describe it was a martial law dictator, but I wasn't scared in the slightest. I could feel his love. I could feel he was calm. I felt he had my best interests at heart entirely. And he said to me, what on earth is going on with you? Like, it's kind of like we can't believe we've got to be here, you know? You know your path. You know exactly what you're called to do. And I said, well, I don't. And they said, oh, come on. And to cut a long story short, after much banter, I said to them, well, yeah, I mean, but what you've told me about the Awakening Center to lead humanity into a reformation, I mean, I couldn't do that. I mean, I can't even organize my own business properly. I said, and you're trying to tell me I can do that? I said, I've accepted I failed, okay? And they said, oh, goodness sake. And they kind of got mad at me, and we got into an argument. And that's where it got a little bit humorous, because for a brief moment, not long, because it was very serious, but I kept arguing with them, saying, I don't know. And they said, gosh, they said, you're a typical lawyer. And that made me chuckle a slight bit, because that's what Grace, when we were married, you know, we're not now, but we're very close and worked this together. He used to say to me, stop being a typical lawyer and arguing everything for the sake of it. They said, stop being a typical lawyer, for goodness sake. They said, you should be at least a little bit nervous, but you're not. You're just arguing with us. They said, grow up, basically, and listen to what we've come to tell you. Why? Tell us the truth, Warren. Why are you doing this? Then I said, okay, I'm scared, okay? I don't see how I can do that. I'm scared about everything. I'm scared that if I lead a reformation and, you know, with an economic crash and there's martial law, I'm scared what will happen to me. I'm scared that, you know, I could be rounded up and put somewhere I don't want to be. I'm scared of everything. I don't think people will listen to me. Why would they listen to me? I'm just some silly accountant, financial guy, and, you know, who didn't even do that very well. And I said, so I said, I mean, I'm scared. I said, I just can't see how I can do what you're saying to me. I said, they were kind of, and they said, well, that's fine. Thank you for being honest now. And then I mentioned about money. And I said, well, and also money. I mean, and they said, oh, for goodness sake. And they really just talked about money and how, surely you know by now that when you live your purpose, that the money just flows. They said, didn't you spend many years living by faith and seeing provision? I said, yeah, I did. But still, they said, well, you know this, Warren. You've lived this. They said, in fact, when you live your purpose fully, can you imagine how much money will bring you? And I said, how? And they said, don't ask how. We're not telling you. They said, let go and trust. So finally, I said yes. And that was when things started to begin. And then I had a very interesting 7 hours after that. So various things started to happen. And the first thing that happened is next minute I was rushed, and then I was in this higher realm and higher dimension, and I could see things on planets and stuff going on. And next minute I'm in this planet that's more conscious, and I'm on this like operating table, like you're in a hospital. And I just said, what's happening? They said, it's okay, just be here. And I was really surprised what happened next. They started to do stuff over me and do energy work. And next minute I heard one starting to break things over me, like mind control implants. They said the power of black witchcraft and voodoo stuff. They said spirits. They said to me, we drive out this, we cast out this spirit of lust, of greed. And they were naming specific things, and I could feel things go whoof, whoof, out of me. And then they started, and this went on for quite a while, and they're breaking black magic, witchcraft, all kind of implants off me. Then they're going, the next minute they're starting to do other things, and they're starting to bring up childhood experiences, like when I was bullied and the trauma. They said we released from the trauma of bullying. And I felt like I was in some healing meeting at a church, but it was like nothing like it. There was an authority where anything they said just happened instantly. There was no kind of lag period. It just went bang, 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 bang. I felt like fears and traumas and things that have stopped me wanting to move forward, just lifting and going. And this went on for about another hour. And then I just lost track of time, and I just know that it took 8 hours in total, because I looked at the time when I came out of it. But then for the next 6 hours was when instructions and things started to be given to me. And the biggest instruction they said to me was, you know your path, and you're going to have to lead this social reform movement. And I said, what about choice and free will? They said, that's not an option for you, which completely surprised me. I said, what do you mean? They said, karmic agreement. I said, karmic agreement? They said, yes. And then I got a series of flash past life regressions. And they said, and a bit of a sense of agreements I made before coming. They said, you made this agreement to make some things right. And so they said, you don't have a choice in this. I said, okay. I kind of laughed because they were speaking to me exactly as I speak to clients and people around me who know me exactly the same way. So I actually kind of liked them. I said, okay, I'm actually okay with that, because I said, kind of fuck things up when left to my own devices. They said, yeah. I said, I don't really like having, you know, that anyway. I said, I'd rather just follow orders. I said, it's a little bit easier right now. I said, I don't like planet Earth and don't know what to do next. They said, good. So they said, rest assured that they said, you wanted this before you came. You told us to do this. I said, really? They said, yes. I said, so, no, and as soon as they said that, I knew it was right. I said, okay, good. And I got a flash of the karmic agreement I made and go, yeah, I'm happy with that. So I said, okay, cool, I'm on board on that one. So they said, good. So now I'm going to have to instruct you and teach you and guide you in what you're going to have to do. So, and what's going to come on your planet. And they said, when they kind of talked to me like friends, and they just said, Warren, they said, in all honesty, they said, we're absolutely fed up with your planet. They said, we're in charge of this whole thing and what's going on in your ascension program to ascend your Earth and move it to the next stage of evolution and consciousness. And we're fed up with your planet because no one's listening right now. They said, seriously, they said, they're just a bunch, they weren't very pleasant about it, put it this way. They said, we're the ones who really don't give a fuck. They said, we honestly don't. They said, if you really, they told me some stuff, but I actually started to laugh because they said the kind of stuff I'd say to people at the barbecue. Like, in all honesty, they all deserve to die and get blown up with stuff and everything. They said, they really do. They said, but they said, in saying that, they said there's higher order and authority and love where we want people to be given a proper chance and we want them to sort their affairs out properly. So they said, because people deserve fair warning and we deserve fair opportunity. So they said, basically, they said, what we want to do now is actually instruct you what you got to do next and what's coming, okay? So I said, okay. So they said, karmically, they said, what's happening with your Earth and the rainforests and things like that, and the breakdown of social order is affecting not just your planet, but all planets around that are interconnected. So they said, the first thing we want to talk to you about is an economic crash. And that was what got my attention. So the economic zone, the economic crash, and what happened there was basically, they said, your planet is going to experience an economic meltdown. And I said, I know. They said, yeah, but it's happening really soon. I said, okay. So they said, so what's going to happen is your planet is going to have a complete economic collapse and a complete meltdown. They said, we don't want people to get hurt. I said, okay. I said, is it avoidable? They said, no. They said, what you can do though, is teach your clients and teach people who listen how to get through it. And for the small number who listen early, you're able to help them to navigate through this very, very smoothly. So they said, that's our main intention here. They said, there's a few things they said, but this is very important because they said, your planet is very money driven and people will not cope at all. And they said, and you know, we want people to be helped. So they said, you're going to have to teach them on the stuff you know well, like sovereignty, protecting wealth, guiding them through this time, helping them to move into safe investments and teaching them the principles, helping them protect their assets, stop this tax rot that's going on. And they said, and really just basically guide the people that we instruct and we lead you to through this crisis. Because they said it will be brutal. And I actually felt their sorrow. They said, this will be severely brutal. And we said, and your planet's just not equipped to handle this. So they said, we really have to make sure that we get this managed and as much as possible protect things and protect the social order as best we can. They said, we can't stop this, but the damage can be significantly limited with the right teaching and the right training, and by teaching people to be responsible and how to get through this time. So they said things like gold, they said other things like that. They said, we'll lead you step by step, because they said, in a way, nothing is really safe, but they said there will be things that will be safe for a time. And they said, the crash is not yet, but it will be coming. And they told me the date at the time and how it would start to play out. They said, but that's something for us to tell you right now, because, you know, they said, don't reveal this, because you're better to reveal the time later on, plus you will tamper with future probabilities as well if people start believing you and moving on stuff that we're not ready to move on yet. So they said November, basically 2019, in 18 months from now, it will begin. Now, that was one thing I do have to intervene and say briefly, that threw me slightly last year towards the end of the year, because I thought, well, I knew things that were in play, because I could see there's some real problems starting to develop. But everything, like the bushfires, the floods, and all the craziness hit in November. And I realized in hindsight that that's pretty much when the beginnings of it all happened. And when you look at things were starting to happen. And like anything, timelines are never exact all the time, simply because there are probable futures. But overall, it started around then. And basically, they just said to me, they said, all you need to know is that that's about when it will start. And that's how they left it with me. In hindsight, I realized they said about when it will start. And they said, so you don't have a lot of time. And I said, 18 months, that's just like really close. They said, yeah, well, correct. That's why we're here. So they said, you're going to have to teach people about the kind of gold they'll have to get, about not misreading the signs when it begins and when it starts, because people will be in denial. And they said, and make sure people go safely. I asked, and then I said, do I have permission to ask about specific investments? They said, yes, you do. And there were Bitcoin as I went through. I said, cryptos? They said, to a degree. That would surprise me, because I thought that would be the answer. And I said, really? They said, to a degree. They said, we're not going to say much on that. They said, certain things will work for a time and be okay. Ultimately, there's going to be a completely new financial system. Understand that. Like, there's nothing that you guys are doing now that even comes close to the financial system that's coming. So you just have to understand that. So that's why all these measures that you go in for now are temporary measures. I go, okay. I said, that makes things a bit more difficult, because I don't know what to say. They said, well, you will know at the time, and you'll be able to guide people in different stages and different steps as to what's coming. They said, eventually, though, there will be a completely new financial system, and it will be a heck of a lot better. They said, rest assured, it will be miles better, and fairness for all. So they said, the main thing is to realize it's definitely coming, and when you see it, be ready, move quick, and start to teach people. Said some people will have to go offshore pretty quickly. And they said some people will have to even move to Costa Rica or somewhere like that. And I was actually told that. And they said different people will be led in different ways. So your main thing is just to kind of teach them the principles and the different things, so people can move through this safely and also prosper in ahead. Because they said, trust me, they said money is not an issue. You do your path, it won't be an issue. And just tell everyone, they just do the path and do what they call to do, money will not be an issue. They said, because they have our assurance. They said, as soon as you're on your path, you will be looked after. They said, you can now call on the higher authorities and we'll take care of you. When you're off your path, we leave you to your own devices to work it out yourself. In the same way, if your kids don't listen to you, you just kind of let them make their own mistakes and learn. I said, okay, that sounds fair. So that was the first instruction they gave, and they spent on the economic crash. So they really went through and shared that about me. And they assured me, they said, by teaching and guiding people through, it's going to help people in this time. And you're more going to help people. I said, yeah, like a conscious business and entrepreneurial and that. What's difficult in what I'm sharing now as well is that after that experience, there were many days on and off where I had further visitations. So some of it's merged a little bit, and I'm still separating out, because over the next 7 months, I continued to get on and off visitations and given further instructions. So some of it's still, that's the best way to describe that. So they did say that to me. They said the main thing is to be clear on this crash, be clear in teaching people, and making sure that people are ready for what's coming. Then they said the second thing is we want you're going to be responsible and a lot of people around you, because you can't do this on your own by any means. This scared me, I'll be honest. They said, it's lead a social reformation movement and make these people accountable who are ruining your planet. These pharmaceutical companies, these people who destroy your environment, and people who profiteer at the expense of human need. They said they can't be allowed to get away with this, Warren. They said, but they said at the same time, nor can we bring consequences or judge them without getting a warning. They said, your people are too passive on your planet. And they said, and we're limited right now in being able to address the matters because by people's inactions, they said, we're unable to actually judge, because under higher laws, you have to give fair warning. I said, okay. I said, well, surely they know what they're doing is wrong. They said, yes, to a degree, but keep in mind, Warren, that many of these pharmaceutical companies who are causing great harm, they don't actually know any better. Just like you and all the people you know, many of you have done some shocking things, which you'll see in hindsight that you did the wrong thing because you were warned and had consequences in some way. They said, so yes, they kind of know, but they need a very severe, very clear warning and told they've got to stop. And that was when I said, but that's scary. I said, why on earth will they listen to me or anyone else? I said, these pharmaceutical leaders and environmental companies and corporations are like, they're shocking. I said, they said, well, they said, believe you me, many are just there because they're part of that network and part of those families and don't really want to be there, but they dare not break the rules because of what could happen. I said, actually, that makes sense. So they said, yes, there's definitely those who are really the culprits and who are really there in dark and who have no intention of listening and in fact will resist you. But they said, trust me, they're going to listen. And I said, seriously? They said, yes, they will listen. Now I kept asking to repeat. I said, you mean they actually will listen and take action? They said, yes, some of them will. They said, you may even be surprised how many. And that really stopped me. And I said, okay. I said, but you know me, I can't do that kind of stuff. I said, I'm not brave enough. I said, I'm sure it'll be other people. I said, well, it will certainly be mainly other people, because they said, you can't do everything. They said, it'll be mainly other people. That's your job to rally them, but you'll have your part too, rest assured. And I said, okay. That scared me. As you can imagine, I thought, you've got to be kidding me. You know, that doesn't sound fun. And I said, but how do I do that? And they said, don't worry. They said, the door will open when it's time. You'll know when. I said, okay. So, but they said, this is very important to bring social action. They said, you cannot understand this, Warren. They said, if you don't do that, the consequences, you cannot understand what will come the way of the people. And over the coming days, I was given visions and I saw what was coming. And that was the thing that got me moving. Because then they said to me many months later, do you really want to see what's coming? And they showed me. Yeah, I said, if you don't take action. And that really scared me. In fact, frightened me to the point where I was almost immobile for days on and off. And I'm pretty brave. I mean, I moved through it fast and then go, great. Point was, I said, okay, no problem. Just whatever you want, I'll do it. You know, I'll step up. They said, this will happen, what you're seeing to some people. And in fact, the vast majority of people will experience this. But they said, rest assured that people get, and this is why I'm chuckling about this lockdown in different states, because I was actually told in a roundabout way that people would be separated and put where they were meant to be, and that somehow there would be a way for certain parts of the earth and certain zones to be protected, which I since then read about in the Keys of Enoch, a sacred mystery book, where Pertak had a similar but probably more powerful experience than mine, where he was physically as well as energetically taken into the higher realms and instructed and was told about safe zones on earth that would be here in this time. So I've discovered that all the sacred writings do match up with what was said, which I certainly wanted to check out afterwards. And as you'll see shortly, I did actually find the Council of Nine mentioned, because it took me a while to find out who these nine were, because the guy who was with me was absolutely stunned. He had no idea who they were. He said, this is quite amazing. He said, this is really unusual and what's happened to you. He said, wow. So that was the second instruction, the importance of a social reformation action. And he just said, if you've got your consciousness, Warren, and you're at peace and you've got the social action and you've got people moving, you'll be surprised. They will listen. He said, these guys, many of them are scared as you are. And I said, okay. So I said, there is some hope. They said, there's big hope if you take action, very big hope. He said, you can make a very big difference. So I said, okay. They said, so the area specifically they instructed me was, they said, around environmental stuff. They told me that is really important because of the damage. That was a very strong one. Pollution and environment was particularly there. And they specifically told me about pharmaceutical, because they said, they just kept saying, this is terrible what these guys do. And I said, I know, that's why I get so upset and can't stand it. They kept saying it's terrible. I said, we just can't get over it. I said, they talked to me like they were, like I said, just friends. They said, seriously, why would people do that? And I just said, yeah, I know. So they said, honestly, but they said, just talk to these people and guide and warn them. They said, and the doors will open. So I said, okay. So they then basically went on further in the coming days, and this happened from them and others. And one of the third things I was specifically told was, yes, they'll be bringing in a new world leadership will be coming in. And they said, this world leadership will be like nothing that the planet has ever seen in their brutality and what they will do. So they said, this is why getting this social reform movement is critical. I said, can that be stopped? They said, nope. But they said, how far their reach goes can be dealt with. They said, they can be very limited, like in terms of their reach and who they actually end up governing. So they said, there's a new world leadership that will be coming in, basically. And they just said, this group, what they will do to humanity, you just cannot comprehend. And they did show me. So they said, but their reach, they said, for those who choose to walk the higher path, they will not be able to get near them and touch them who really choose. Then I was taught about the different groups of people, and I was taught there was two main groups. They said there's those who will take quick action and go on a strong, they will take action financially, and they will take action spiritually. They said they will be a very small minority, but there'll be people who will do that. They will take action now. They will get financially sorted out, and at the same time, they will also take they'll get spiritual action, and they'll take social action. They said they're a minority. They said they'll be the ones who actually start to deal with their karma, raise their consciousness, move quick, clear everything out quick, smart, so they've got a pure energy and they're protected. And they said, and they'll take action. They said, these are the ones who will be pretty much safe and protected, and they'll flow through this and they'll be okay. Yes, they will grieve and you will all feel the pain of what you're seeing going on around you. They said, there's a second group of people who actually are they actually are good people at heart. There's quite a lot of these people, they said, Warren, who actually are at heart quite spiritual. They really do love, but they're going to keep denying and keep denying and keep denying and keep denying and keep denying until too late. And they'll have no choice then but to go through this situation. And they said, but is part of their suffering that they experience will be their redemption. So they said, they're the part that you don't want to, that's the part your group and you don't want to be in. I said, no, by no means. So they said, yeah. So they said, there's going to be a very large revolution. They said there will be a lot of people who will be, and there will be a strong safe zone. And they said, so there will be many people who will be spared in a big way. They said, rest assured, if you do this, there'll be many, like not just a tiny little number, there'll be quite a large number. So they'll be different to history where you hear about small remnants and that. There'll be a larger number than you think. But at the same time, there'll be a very even larger number that will actually go through this time. And that will be the karmic redemption. And then there'll be another group of people who will actually go through this fully and they'll agree with it and be happy about it until they see fully what this new world leadership is really about. And then they'll have no way of escaping because they'll have taken microchipping. So they said that's the kind of thing you got to avoid, because microchipping is, of course, it will be inevitable, because if you hit the point in your life where you can't actually feed yourself and you haven't developed an alternative way of being spiritually and in business and financially and got an alternative financial system or some kind of way of having higher trust, he said, obviously you'll take the mark, either that or you'll starve to death, which many will do and be heroes. But he said, you don't need to go there. He said, that's not necessary. So where I struggled was I kept saying to them, I mean, this just sounds like, honestly, the biggest apocalyptic movie I've ever seen. And they said, well, yeah, I know. They said, that's why. They said, but you know the prophets, there's been many, many prophets who come and taught that this would happen, which there has been. So I said, yep, gotcha. So very simply, the main thing is that the good news about this is there's a very good opportunity. And they said, we will ensure that those who are serious about dealing with this have every resource. They said, rest assured, Warren, if people are serious and say, yes, we're in and we'll deal with this, then they can rest assured that we've got the resources. We've got ways to take care of them. We've got ways to make sure they'll prosper, and not just prosper, but prosper abundantly, those who choose to use their wealth for good to help humanity through this time. They said to be able to own much real estate, much stuff, to make sure that everyone gets a fair share and a fair go, rather than hoarding it up. So they said, this is a good time. In the long run, this is going to be a fabulous time. They said, it's just this unfortunate period you have to go through for now because there's been too much inaction. So I said, yeah, that's fine. So that was basically what they said to me. So they said, this leadership will do that. But they also showed me there was a great, great hope. So now let me just take a little bit of an intermission from this, and then I'll come back to this. Well, I'll just show you a little bit from the sacred writings about this council, because I had to search pretty hard. This book, by the way, The Keys of Enoch, is the only book I've ever had happen to me where in December 2013, I walked into a theosophical bookstore in the hills in the middle of nowhere in West Australia, and I saw this book and it literally jumped off the shelf like a light thing. And I grabbed it without even thinking and ran to the counter and said, what is this book? I've got to buy this. And then, of course, they said, oh, that's the Keys of Enoch. And I got excitement. Because if you had to ask me the number one person in history that has always been my biggest fascination, and when I felt the biggest goosebumps and when everything in my life feels perfect and that right, is when I've read the writings of Enoch. And just to help understand for those of you who don't know who Enoch is, he's a bit of a hard guy to find out a lot about, because the only references you find about him is in the Bible, where it basically just says he walked with God and was not, for God took him. That's about it. And then there's another one later on which says, by faith, Enoch was translated, which means he ascended, and his body was turned into light and did not taste death because he believed God. And that's all you get told. So you've got to dig very deep. And for those there this morning would know that the mystery schools deliberately attempt to conceal knowledge to make sure it only goes to those who are ready and seeking. And every mystery school in history put you through initiations before you would get in to make you worthy. So Enoch basically, just before he ascended, for the last 30 days, after basically being in charge of leading a golden age of the planet, where literally the planet had everyone submitted to a pure order, an ascended city was built in a high consciousness. And basically he spent 30 days teaching humanity, and then in front of him, he ascended. So I had to go to all kinds of searches and sources to find this out. Like I said, I've been studying mystery schools since I was in everything I could find since I was young, and looked for stuff on Enoch. And basically Enoch gave a series of instructions and prophetic manual as to what would come to pass. But he starts his first book with a very interesting, now just to be clear, this Keys of Enoch wasn't written by Enoch. This was written by J.J. Hurtak on the 1st of January. It was downloaded in 1973 as instructions for the next kind of 52 years of humanity. And he was told certain things that would come to play. Then he was told in 2000, he said he was told to release 54 keys, which he did. He said the last 10 keys, you can't release them until 2016, and then one by one. And by the end of 2025, the last key is released. So he said those 10 years are very critical. and each key will then guide to another level. So Enoch himself, his 2 books that he wrote were heavily regarded in the early churches and every society for hundreds and thousands of years, and really disappeared initially around the 300s when the councils made a deal with Rome and the churches, and basically they decided to get rid of sacred writings and bring a unified code, which was, as you've worked out, was obviously not a particularly healthy alliance, and to limit sacred knowledge and keep it within the realms of certain people. And so many of his scrolls were hidden by a small group of people under the Dead Sea around Israel area. And they were rediscovered in 1945 in a cavern by someone. And they found many books from the Dead Sea Scrolls, the fragments of the book of Isaiah, which confirmed it, from the war of the sons of light and darkness in the books of Enoch. And the first book of Enoch starts off by saying, this is the book that is written for the generation that is to come at the end, basically when things are winding up and coming to ascension. That's basically what he said. This is written for the last generation that is to come. So, in other words, the writing would not be revealed until the end, until we were heading into the great ascension that was coming. The scroll of Daniel, by the way, in chapter 12 says a very similar thing, but it says the words will be concealed and not opened up till the times of the end. People won't understand them until then. And it wasn't until the 1970s that people started to actually understand the book of Daniel and that particular unique scroll. And only now I'm getting deeper realizations. So these are very deep sacred writings. And just so you know, everyone who ever read these couldn't properly understand this. And I had the same thing. I could read it, I understood certain parts. But then when the Council of Nine spoke to me, over the next number of days, I had many other visitations. I was actually taken into higher realms again on a number of occasions. And I had about 200 mind control on black magic and satanic implants moved out of me. I could not believe my eyes. I had heard about mind control implants from a guy who used to be in the CIA, but I was just like, it got to the point I was almost like laughing. I'm like, what am I? Am I some kind of walking like mind control implants bank or something? That was how I was starting to feel and laugh a little bit. And it was just ridiculous. And it still kept happening after that. And yeah, it's a long story, but I certainly realized how much we were limited in our knowledge and how much we were controlled. And I was like, wow. So in those realms, I was shown, I said many things. And one thing they did was specifically put a crystal and activated my third eye. And as soon after that happened, I was able to understand his writings. And in the scroll of Isaiah, it specifically states in one of the parts that the book would be sealed and that it would be dead to people, and they would not understand it and see it as a dead history book. And they said until the time had come, it would be unlocked when humanity was ready. And that's why a lot of the books, like the sacred writings of the Bible, are kind of disregarded, not understood. And specifically, Enoch told Hurtak in this book, The Keys of Enoch, about how things were disregarded and how the religions were part of what's called a false, as he called it, antichrist movement that's designed to suppress consciousness, suppress spiritual growth. So he said the churches you see today, that's what they are. And he pretty much said, the true churches, he said, align with all of the sacred writings. And he said, about elevating humanity, not basically taking them into the system further. Words to that effect. That's how you can tell a true church. They take people out of the system and take them into a higher system, while still not disregarding the current system and being disobedient unless the current system starts to violate the higher laws. But that's for another topic. So just seeing a Check's comment coming here, just typing it back. So who are they? So this is a quote from the Keys of Enoch instructions right at the beginning. So essentially, the way this universe works and what's found in all the sacred writings of Enoch is there's three main kind of stations that are used to manage this universe. Arcturus is a technology, and that's where I was taken. I've now discovered for a lot of my mind control, removing and cleansing and cleaning up of stuff. So that's where I was taken. A lot of the technology you're seeing today, like the Tesla high-end technology was given by higher beings from Arcturus, the planet Earth, to try and raise their consciousness. So Arcturus is a technology place. There's the Pleiades, which is more a center of creative arts and basically a much different kind of people to Arcturus. The Arcturian beings are more serious and more, they don't really laugh and joke. They're very, very to the point, and we're just there to do a job and reveal technology. It's a bit like this kind of nerdy scientists. I'm not saying they're nerdy, but you know what I mean. People who are very much there to do a task and a work. That's Arcturians. Beautiful, beautiful beings, but that's by and large who they are. Pleiadians are more fun, they're more joyful, they're more sensitive. My partner is a Pleiadian. She was clearly shown now. She now gets taken into energies and she sees energy really clearly all the time, just about. And she actually is, shown she's from Pleiades, which is a very gentle people, very loving, wouldn't hurt a fly, get devastated when they see animals hurt. Many people who are in animal rights movement are Pleiadians, for example. They really can't cope when they see things. They've usually had horrible life experiences for years because of their trauma and just the pain that they're seeing on planet Earth, and they cannot believe what's happening. But they're very creative, they're musical, they're artistic. They're those kind of people, very soft people. And then you've got the Orion belt, which is more a central gateway to go into the next universe, which is basically the Father's universe. So in a way, what you're experiencing right now on planet Earth is a pretty much replica of the higher realms, a form of martial law, lockdown state by state, to quarantine the issues and get them sorted out. And for example, you cannot go through the Orion universe into the next universe without going through Metatron and Enoch and having a purified, basically, body. And really, when you think about it, how could you go in there if you are corrupted because you'd corrupt that? So this is the Council of Nine, the governing body of our local universe. So we're what's called, there's what's called triple power trinities, but basically, yes, this is what's called a sun or a local universe. It's not as high vibration, say, as the next universe, which is the Father. So there's 24 dimensions in this universe. The 25th dimension and beyond is the Father universe. So the Council of Nine are kind of situated in around the 25th dimension in the transition zone, or somewhere around Arcturus, somewhere near that, working directly with the Father. So everything is a very uniform. I was also told to see a specific guy in America. They gave me his name in Florida. And by a series of extraordinary coincidences, when I couldn't get hold of him, I, at the last minute, happened to end up right in his house in Florida. And he didn't believe me when he told me I'd met them. And he grilled me and asked me so many questions. And then he finally said, wow, he said, they don't really appear to people virtually ever. It's very rare. They generally only come if there's a real problem or if you've got a very specific role in getting things sorted. So I said, okay, you need to tell me what they told you. So I did, and he nodded his head. He goes, yep, I'm getting the same message. And he's since been giving warnings day after day. He, unfortunately, unlike me, has coped worse of it. He fell apart emotionally a lot, and he's really been struggling and been getting a lot of pain in his body, because he's just said that he's just been pleading with humanity last year, and he kept telling them, you've run out of time. He sent an email in October saying, you've run out of time. He said, next year it's going to get worse. Please. Then he finally wrote one saying it's too late now. And then he kind of disappeared, and I can't even talk to him now. So it's a serious time. And fortunately, unlike him, I think they have shown me a much higher plan, which I've been revealed, which has made me seem like, wow, this is absolutely wonderful. It's a wonderful big picture plan. So this is why one of the things that, for those of you who've learnt with me from investing, you may know this, that I've taught. The reason why some people get very wealthy and some don't is in crashes. They see the writing on the wall and move quick. They can cut a loss quickly and don't grieve over it, because they know that, yeah, I've lost some money, but there's another opportunity waiting. And I must admit, for years, I wasn't like that. I would hold on to things. I eventually learned, thankfully through sports betting, because sports betting, you get killed if you don't actually do that. So I learned to cut losses better and better and better and better and better. And one of the things that I'm sharing that because I'm relating it to here now. The reason why people are in denial is their grief for their way of life that lies ahead, which I think a lot of people are in denial. There's a lot of people who can see changes, but they're denying it because they're trying to find a knight in shining armor that's going to save them and make it all right, and it's all going to work out. But deep down, they know life will not be the same. The wise people know life won't be the same in any way, shape, or form. And the truth is, you also have to ask yourself, do you really want it to be the same? Do you really want to live in a world where humanity treats its women with rape, where rainforests and the environment gets ruined, where people get sick and they use them for financial profit, where people exploit each other in business and then governments take it in taxes and favour one side of the people and not favour the others? I think deep down we all would say that's actually not what we want. So sometimes you've got to take some radical action to get a result that's going to be better for everyone in the long term. So this is a time to cut your losses of planet Earth, allow whatever grieving has to happen. A bit like I realized 10 days ago the bull market was over and this had begun once and for all. So I sold a few things I've kept certain things, sold a few, made a little bit of a loss, and immediately made it back on some other opportunities and on path to make so much more. So this is a time to cut losses quickly, grieve, but quickly be seeing these many opportunities, not just financially. I'll be teaching webinars on the financial side of many. There's going to be, as I've mentioned, the greatest opportunities in history. We'll see a wealth transfer, pure and simple. But see also the opportunity of a way of life, the opportunity to help small businesses, to get out into your community, to get back to village living, and to really help your neighbour and help people. So see this as a wonderful time to cut your losses. Don't let your grief be brief. Let your grief that you feel be brief. Don't attach yourself to anything, because the truth is this whole thing is a big video game that will reset when you finish. And I'm sure you know what I mean. We spend our whole life working and thinking that's important, and at the end wishing we hadn't done as much, and then die or ascend or move on. So don't hold on to anything right now. So as you can see here, it's all coming together quite nicely. So they're specifically mentioned in the Keys of Enoch. There's 3 councils. I don't quite understand the other 2 fully yet, but I do understand the Council of 9. I do know the Council of 12 govern other universes, and I do know the Council of 144 is higher again. So, wise words. Yeah, look, it's just time not to grieve, and it's time to take action. For those of you who heard, when I injured my back last year, I took radical, quick action, and that's why I now have a good back. I wouldn't have a good back if I hadn't. So the truth is, you just never know. This thing could happen faster than we all think. If we take enough action, we just don't know, do we? So I didn't have much hope. My job was just to be obedient. I've got a little bit more now because I'm noticing that there are people taking action. I can see people moving. So I'm starting to get some hope. It doesn't take a lot of people to take charge and make a difference. It doesn't take a lot of strong leaders to rally people and win control of government. You know, there's all kinds of things like that in elections. So as you can see here, it's mentioned again. Now, I deliberately underlined those last words. In actual fact, I'm going to just go ahead and underline some others to read a very precise instruction here. Christine, 144 petals in the crown chakra, which connects our spirit to the divine. Yeah, look, 144 is a very sacred number, Christine. Yeah, There's 144,000 who will lead humanity into the next stage. We're here to help and guide the leaders. There's all kinds of references in the Bible, mystery schools, and in here. So notice what it says. The 9 shall place upon the new realms those physical souls who have perfected themselves upon the earth plane. In other words, if you haven't perfected yourself, why on earth would the councils take you in there if you're going to corrupt everyone else? It's like bringing someone who's really sick into a healthy community and letting them walk around and touch people, which I think everyone can relate to right now. So obviously we're not going to do that. So obviously if you swindle in business and you're doing stuff which isn't for the higher good and basically being inactive and not dealing with things to be dealt with and judging other people and even judging the pharmaceuticals and judging people and blaming others, of course I don't want you there. I don't like having whingers in our group of carrying on. So yeah, I'm just more interested in basically conforming and raising my vibration. I've seen these realms be taken in there. They're serious, but they're also orderly and much joy. And the thought realm is so peaceful. That's the thing I noticed. The thought realm is so peaceful in these realms. So this whole place is really just a big zone to clear out and help many ascend to be part of a new planet. And for those who really do their job in leadership, can even ascend to other realms and other planes and be doing other work in other places and not have to come back here if I don't want to. So there's a glorious reward. And when you think about it, it all makes sense. It's a very orderly, hierarchical management. And that reminds me of the other thing they said to me, one other instruction they gave me, the fourth one, which I forgot. They said, we want you to start a conscious church. I said, really? They said, yep. They said, Warren, they said, honestly, they said, your spiritual people are all over the place. They said, everyone's doing their own little thing and they're connecting to whoever they feel like. And they're disorderly and they're love and light and they're an absolute dog's breakfast. These are my own words, but that's what they said to me. They said, look at the dark. Do you think they carry on like that? I said, no. He said, Warren, the dark operate on the strict martial military order. No one dare crosses their bosses like Lucifer and the other beings and others who oversee them and many others. They said, that's why they're dominating your planet. He said, honestly, your people are a mess. They said the churches were meant to do this and did for a while, but don't do it anymore. I said, I noticed. And they just said, seriously? They said, your churches are ridiculous. They said, they bear no resemblance to what the early churches that reformed society. They bear no resemblance. They actually work for the dark. Many of them don't realize that, but they do. So he said, just ignore them, forget about them. You've got to set up a conscious church which has order, structure, and even for a time, almost a semi-military authority to help humanity to get their spiritual lives into order and into shape. So you can start to take the planet back. Because yes, it's very true that light prevails over darkness. And the truth is it's easy for the light to prevail over darkness because light is significantly higher vibration than darkness. He said, so, and I said, yeah, I've asked the question, why? When the light outshines the darkness, have we got this going on? They said, precisely. They said, it's very easy to deal with darkness, Warren. They said, darkness only has power when you keep walking from the light and when things are disorderly. So they said, that's something you got to do. Get a conscious church and spiritual awakening center happening. And interestingly, they said, we want you to start it online and not go physical, apart from just odd events until we tell you otherwise. I said, okay. They said, just do what we say, just stay online. As you can imagine now, I'm very glad that I've stayed online because all the churches are being forced online. They have no idea what they're doing and I'm well and truly on top of it. So they also gave me a set of business instructions as well around how to run business, how to bring in profits and money, what to do for free, what to charge for. Because they said there's a balance here. They said, we want you to serve heavily, but at the same time, for certain things you do, it's important people invest, especially if you've got money, so there's a fair exchange happening. They said, so it's very important people are investing. They said if you're not investing, it limits basically, you know, don't be, apart from giving some general help, specific help to people. They've got to invest, and they've got to invest well. They said, you've invested well. So I said, yep. So they said, set up a church, an awakening, which you help people, and also set up business training centers and things like that. But they kept emphasizing this church. They said, this is critical, because they said, in this new order, people will be going back to churches or forms of them, not like you've seen today. There'll be just centers of spiritual enlightenment. There'll be a lot of joy. People will have fun. And of course, I got happy because when I studied the Renaissance, which is the best period probably in the last 2,000 years, everyone went to church and loved going there because the churches were brilliant. They taught people moral order, moral ethics, how to behave in business. They had fun, they had community, they all took care of each other. No one lacked. So he said, that's the kind of churches we'll see in these days. It'll be, and anyone that doesn't meet those standards will be gone. So they said, don't use the word church for now, because that's got a negative connotation in people's mind, except in a roundabout sense. They said, use Ascension Center or some general language. But they said, the true church is really, the actual word comes from ecclesia, which means ecclesiastical, which means community. So that's actually where church comes from in original Latin meaning, ecclesia. So really what we're building is a form of higher ecclesia, which is a higher ecclesiastical, energetic, kind of spiritual structured center to really help and set up a structure for those to choose to be in it. He said, people choose to be part of the work and what you're doing. He said, it's optional. As you know, you always give people a choice. He said, people can either choose to be part of a new conscious movement or stay what they're doing and see how they go. So he said, those who are meant to be with you will go with you. Believe you me, as time goes on, more and more people will join. So you've got to be ready and you've got to be organized. They said your disorganization in business needs to be fixed, but rest assured, we'll send you people. Because I just said, look, I've got no idea how to run businesses. I know how to, help clients with staff. I'm very smart, intellectually. I said, I know how to, sell really well, do good conscious marketing, but I've got no idea how to run a business apart from good compliance. They said, don't worry, we'll sort that out for you, which they have. So the key is telling us that the future government will be unlike any government of man, because it will be governed with the higher mind entities of the Great White Brotherhood, who even at this time are changing the focal rings of intelligence. There's many, and the Keys of Enoch explains, there's many vortexes on Earth. There's higher realms, and many of you, I'm sure, have heard of this, like Sedona has vortex, Tibet. The Keys of Enoch specifically says Tibet, and there's a place in Israel, it's got one, and there's a few different places. So where they've got vortexes, which, by the way, is why there's been so much destruction in Tibet to try and damage the energy of the vortex there. So, but this new order and this new time on the planet will be connected with the White Brotherhood to make sure there's order and peace upon planet Earth. Conscious things, conscious means of transport, everything. Okay, so before we do a bit of a deeper activation, in fact, any questions or comments, and then we'll do an activation and then take final or more questions or comments or things like that. Or would people like to do the activation first, then ask questions? Okay. Okay, been questions from Steve. Yep. Thank you. Right. Yeah, thank you. Really good, everyone. Okay, this, by the way, is a very, very sacred code. And I'll explain why. And before I do, who here immediately goes, wow, who thinks there's something about this code they haven't seen before, or other codes I've used for those who've used? Then I'll explain why. What I will explain is that in the keys of Enoch, Enoch taught Hertag that pictographs and codes are the way to activate the higher mind and the pineal gland and move basically into higher realms and go beyond words. So there's a lady who I've been getting codes off for a long time, and the ones I use. And yes, it pulses big time. And yeah, Nolene, it does. This particular code, she actually designed this code because she people buy the codes off her, and she gets given them from higher extraterrestrials. And she was given this code, and she was told this is a very high code to lead humanity into the next stage. They said you're not to give this to anyone except for one person. And she thought straight away it was her ex-husband, who was the guy who taught me. And she said, but every time she tried to contact him, he wouldn't talk to her. So for 2 years, she sat on this code. And then when we were talking one day, she goes to me, oh my gosh, she said, you're the one I meant to give this code to. She goes, and then because I told her what I was doing, she goes, that's it. Because she says, because I mentioned the keys of Enoch, she goes, what did you say? And she goes, oh my gosh, because this is the words I was told, the keys of Enoch code. This is to do an activation of all of the keys of Enoch into your unconscious and higher mind. And they were like, wow. So this is an activation to help people get started and start to open something up in each and every person. So it's an amazing code, this. So, and I don't say that with ego or anything else. That's what she said to me. So I said, wow, thank you. So she goes, use it wisely. So I've hardly used this code. I've only used it, this is I think the second time. So I'm just gonna get everyone just to look into the center of the code and breathe deeply and leave out for 4. And my hand is tingling, everyone. Let this code, by the higher command of the order of Enoch, Metatron, Melchizedek, be activated in each and every person at the highest priority level in their third eye now. Oh, I'm seeing things. I'm seeing like codes and scrolls being downloaded into people. Whew. I've never seen anything like this before. It's like sacred records, sacred writings being downloaded. Still going. It's healing some of you in your third eye, actually. It's profound. It's doing something incredible. I don't understand it fully, but I'm just seeing something incredible taking place with some of you anyway. Maybe all of you, I'm not sure, but something's going on. My third eye is just pulsing. This is higher beings and authorities activating you. It's specifically to come under higher command and be led in all areas of your life, is what they're telling me. And do the things you are meant to do with question, without question, with higher purpose, with authority, with certainty, and with wisdom, the words you're giving me. Cleaning things up back to where to go. It's going to cause some of you to feel led to move things around and do things differently. This day forward, in all kinds of things. I see a broom sweeping things under the carpet, out of the air, out of the place, just cleaning things up like a bit of a clean. I'm just seeing you getting a broom and going under the carpet and just cleaning things out, things that are hidden under the carpet. That's what it is. Yeah, I'm just shaking, absolutely shaking. My third eye is pulsing. One of them saying it's going to get better if you do things the right way. Watch what happens, is what they're saying. Watch what unfolds if you do things correctly and get on track and do what you're meant to be doing. Don't leave it too late. This is not the time to stuff around. It's time to go and get what you're here to do. And stop everything you're doing, which is not time productive, they're saying, which is not, I'm not hearing the words properly, but not in higher order. It's like I said, it's like mental telepathy is what's happening with me right now. Yep. I've stopped talking now. So take a glass of water and just feel it integrate. Ask as you're doing it what you're meant to do next. Notice what you get. How codes work, everyone, is that things, for some of you who are activated and ready, you will know straight away. Some of you, you'll feel an activation, you'll get small steps. I feel this is going to come fast because the way these downloads work in these higher realms is they encode you, they download into you like a programming, and then you'll find that just over the next 3 days or 4 days or less or whatever, it'll just unfold. You'll be like, I know what to do. You'll have clarity, you'll know where you're meant to go, you'll have all this stuff, things to do, where you're meant to help. You'll all know what you got to do in your businesses, everything. It'll just go bang, bang, bang. That's how these downloads work for you. So I've realized in the past, I haven't always explained to people what's happening. I've just assumed. So that's what happens in these higher realms. The pictograph actually encodes you. And then the codes do the downloads. It's not like Planet Earth where you read a book. In speed reading, when I was taught, you don't read words. You just read pages and flash through it. And you just get a sense and pictures. And I was astonished how much I retained, even more than when I read normally. So in higher realms, that's how they read books. They speed read. So this is what we're doing here. You're getting a code put into your third eye, which is downloading all this stuff through your brain, changing your chemistry, your DNA. You will see physical changes in your body, I'm being told to tell you, in days to come for some of you. I've noticed already I'm eating less and less. I'm getting more. I'm still eating, but less. you'll see changes. For a while, when my third eye really activated, I got scared because my head would pulse. I'd get dizzy and have to lie down for a bit. And I thought, oh no, what's happening? And fortunately, I had a very wise spiritual teacher, healer. And I spoke to her. She said, I sense, is something happening with your third eye or spiritual light? I said, yes. She goes, yep. And I realized, yeah, my third eye is being really opened. In the last 2 weeks, it's been getting really opened even more than ever. So some of you will open more. You will see. Your head may spin more. And that normally means that your third eye is being awakened. It also means that what's starting to happen to you is that mind control programs are being removed. I've been told specifically not to remove control programs from people at this time and let them do it, because there's various reasons I won't go into, but it's for everyone's safety. It's basically they'll do them as you're ready for them to be removed. So that's how some of you are getting things shifted and adjusted. I feel one or two of you may have even had something removed. There's been things downloaded to you mainly at this time, but one or two you may even feel your third eye being activated or something being removed. Is there anyone who experienced anything like that, where you actually felt something being removed out of you, or feeling some kind of activation, or your head going really light and spacey in a really intense kind of a way? If not, that's okay. Sometimes it happens. If not, I would love you just to share what you did experience in the chat. Raj, feels more light in my head, more clarity. Yes, well, we've got a group of people who are ready today, because I was specifically instructed this morning to put up that thing on Facebook. They said those who are really ready will come and stay through it. They said they are ready. And they even said more than ready. They've been waiting for this time at some level. So they said it will be easy. They said you don't want to mark it in any way, because this is like a mystery school thing, what you're doing tonight. They said to me, the people who are meant to come will come. And they have told me you'll be building a mystery school, and you're going to just take people through a process to prove initiation and everything, because they said you've got to make sure people are ready for their own safety. Nolene, a major rush into my head, been a lot of tears. The tears is healing, Nolene. Lots being cleared out of you. A lot from your heart, that's all. A lot of bitterness. A lot of things that really got you down, broke your heart as a child. Christine, very deep meditation, you can start to change. Yeah, I knew you'd get it, Christine. You could feel the reformation's begun, because you're beyond ready. You're ready to lead, actually, so you're being stepped up. That's why Grace has been working with you. So get ready. As they said in Harry Potter, it's going to be a bumpy ride. Grace says, we need to do more codes. Yes, I agree. I don't know if you mean tonight, but Scott says a reinforcement of what I saw during an ayahuasca ceremony. Yeah, look, I did one of those once, Scott, and yeah, I had an extraordinary experience when I had that. It was really great. So, Sam, when I first looked at the code, it was like I could see through the center and see glimpses of another realm. And after that, I felt like something was wiped across off my forehead. Then the center light started glowing and getting closer to me. Had some tingling through my body. Yeah, no, yeah, gosh, you're being opened up to other realms, so that's quite amazing. You're going to want to see them more and more, Sam. It's going to become more common for you. You'll see things. That's what I'm getting told to tell you. Don't doubt them when you do. Just, you'll see things. You'll see things going on more powerfully than you ever have before. Don't stop them and don't doubt them and don't get scared. Just be with them. Great, strong Christine. Okay. That's fine. I was meant to say that to her. Helen, eyes defocused and the center disappeared. They came back and then dual centers. A lot of third eye sensations, nearly scratched my forehead. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff there. Ian is getting soreness, third eye. Yeah, look, that's exactly what I was getting. I would get headaches at one stage, and that was scaring me because I never got headaches. And yes, I'm open because I get easily scared, even though I am in one sense fearless. It's more fearlessness doesn't mean you don't feel fear. It means you have an ability to manage it quickly and deal with it and feel it without fighting it and then move through it. So that's true fearlessness. I feel fear intensely. So if you're scared of it, that's okay. Just feel it, and observe it, and it will pass. And some of you are being really open up. I'm actually quite stunned. I didn't expect this. It was more just to share and get people started. And this is unexpected. You're getting a bit of a treat, really. It's kind of like they're rewarding you for good behavior is what I'm getting when in that you've really stepped up and came along and gave it a shot and did and got in and came. You'll notice as your third eye activates more and more and you get these downloads, they help me in business more than you could ever imagine and around that area of my life. So you'll start to get a lot more clarity. And as you do, because for many of you, you're used to living in a linear, logical mind a bit. And yes, logic is important, but understand sometimes you'll get things to do and they won't make sense. You'll feel scared. Like, I can't shut this business down, or I can't do this, or I can't give up my investments here, because you may be really attached to something. Now, learn from my little mistakes. I tended to kind of fight and resist pretty hard, and I finally would yield. Like, for months, they were telling me, let go of your business. And I kept saying, but if I do that, it really will fall apart. I was saying that last year. They said, let go. So finally, by November, I let go completely. And I just decided, I said, let your will be done. If it goes under, it goes under. I don't care. And next minute, I found Grace was running it. I'm like, huh? She said, yeah, I'm running staff meetings. I could see things were, great teachings, but it got very disorganized. So yeah, I've taken charge. I said, oh, okay. The funny thing is that's how organic spirituality works. You just adapt quickly and go, oh, okay, it sounds good to me. And I said, phew. And for me, I'm really simple. If I could see you know what you're doing and step up and don't keep asking like a helpless child for instructions, I work really easy with people. That's why Grace said, I've got to protect the staff from you because you kind of will call them nitwits and all kinds of names, which I would. And so she said, I'll get mad at you and I'll give it back to you. And she said, so, you got to work with people who are more serious. And because she said, you've got no tolerance for idiots. I know what you're like. So I said, okay. And then I had my boys really step up. And my son, Edward, who'd been so good, who'd seemed to back off a little bit of interest, suddenly started getting really motivated. I said, what's happened? He goes, well, number one, Mum being involved's got me excited because she's better than you at explaining things and helping me. And he said, plus, he said, I just thought the other day, well, I'm scared, but I've just got to step up and do it. Time to stop fighting it. I was like, wow. So I thought there's a higher, source has got this in hand. I don't need to do anything. Then I was having opportunities come to me out of nowhere with investment. And all I was told was trust and go in. And I was shitting myself on some of them. And because my accountant and financial brain is so cautious because I've been burnt before and I'm very protective of clients' money. And I mean, I got involved in an investment with these clients. We all got in together, just a small group. And I was the one who was nervous. No one else was. The clients were like 100% fine. They said, yeah, it's fine. I was sitting there nervous and thinking about it in the back of my mind. And yeah, things worked. So really, whatever messages you get, to trust. And yes, Grace, we finished the code. Do you feel, and just so you can introduce yourself or talk, why don't you talk and just share what you're feeling and experiencing and maybe just what you're getting. And then if you feel that to get another code, I'm fine to go along with what you say and let you do that. So can you maybe take the mic for just a bit?
Hi everyone, it's good to see everyone here, and good to see that everyone's connecting and really tuning in what's going on. Yeah, I would love it if you put another code on, Warren.
Sure.
So if you can just go on the...
Yes, I'll let you choose the code.
Yeah.
So you can, just to give you a little bit of a quick 30-second background while I'm looking, you know, Grace and I, when we used to run things before, we used to actually argue with each other. And we've just now learned to work together in authority. She used to do my authority with things and I do with her. And this is what's important in the days ahead, that where there's authority in anything, like in the business, I submit to her in certain things now.
We still argue, Warren.
Well, of course we do, but that's normal. We get over it quickly, though. That's what's important. We don't hold on.
Okay, if you can just scroll down. Where's the... Oh, I like that. The one... Oh, okay, the one on the left. That's it. That's
Okay.
it. Yeah, that looks different. That one. So if I can ask everyone to really just open up your crown chakra and imagine, as Warren's fixing that illustration, that photo, imagine that blue white diamond light coming down from the cosmos. Give yourself permission to really let go and surrender. I feel that there's something happening for each and every one of us here right now. And if we can collaborate and be united in spirit, we can shift the energy in the planet. But first and foremost, shift in yourself. So take a deep breath. Exhale slowly. Do it again. Exhale deeply from your solar plexus. And imagine that the diamond crystal light coming through your crown chakra, aligning all your chakras together, connecting to source, connecting to the universe and the cosmos, taking you to the fifth dimension, sixth dimension, and causing a whirl within you to increase your vibration, increase your frequency, and cleansing, restoring right through you now. Surabasi ki arabasi arabashi arabasi arabara. Suarabasi ki arabashi aradede. Ki arabasi ki arabasi ki arada. So I'm just going to invite the Holy Spirit, Metatron, Gabriel, Uriel, and Raphael. Kiara basi kiare. Siara basi kiara basi kiare. Kiara basi kiara bashiare. Clarity of mind, clarity of spirit. Restore every DNA. Restore every cellular structures. Connect us all to source, to spirit, to Christ consciousness. Take us into the higher vortex and right through the universe and the cosmos. Lift us up with our Merkaba. Increase the Merkaba within us. Kiara basi kiarere. Siara basi kiara bashiere. Kianara masi kianara masi kianara. Unana masi kianara mashiana. Allow the energy to surge through everyone here. Sianara masi kianara. Siara basi kiarere. Kianara masi kiara bashiere. Open up the supernatural. Cleansing, cleansing, cleansing. Restoration, peace, harmony. Unconditional love, light. Come within, the kingdom within. Sianana masiki anana mashiade. Kianana masiki anare. Kura masiki anana mashiade. Replenish, restore, strengthen each and every one. Strengthen each and every one in here. Move any darkness and replace it with light. Remove darkness and replace it with light. Replace it with unconditional love. Kianana masiki anana. Siyara masiyanane. Allow the spark of light within each one of us to brighten and illuminate now. Now, 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 now. Thank you, everyone, for your openness and your trust. So I just ask that you just allow it to integrate it within you. There might be changes within you in the next few days, but allow the integration, the change within you. Can I just get feedback from anyone, what you felt? I just felt to do another code just to keep the clearing, to keep the energy going and the vibration. Keep tuning into the frequency. It's such an intense time for all of us. It's a huge shift in humanity right now. It's a new evolution. We're going into quantum, the next quantum for human beings. Sam, that was amazing. My third eye was pulsating like crazy. I felt a swell of energy drop deep into my heart and got dizzy at one point. Holy Spirit, continue to take Sam deep within that swirl. Continue to work in her heart and take it into the vortex of the Ancient of Days. Give her strength. And also touch Raj. Take him to the new quantum. Take him to the next quantum. Continue to take him to the next quantum. Kiarabasi kiarade. Kiarabasi kiarabashiarede. There's a deep hunger within Raj, a deep hunger within him. Continue to feed him, Holy Spirit. Kianaramasikian. And continue to activate the chakra in Steve, the crown chakra. Continue to cause it to spin faster, Holy Spirit. Allow the Merkaba within the crown chakra to spin and realign every chakra within Steve. And cause Ian to go right deep within that pyramid. The safety, the security, replenish him, renew him, resurrect him. A new resurrection within Ian in that pyramid. The Christ consciousness within him. Allow him, give him new revelation, a fresh revelation of Christ, fresh revelation of God, source, a fresh revelation of who he is. Bring the cosmos and the universe within Ian into that pyramid. Kurabasiki arede. Siarabasiki ananamasiki anana. Oramasiki arabasiki. Metatron, take Christine into her swirling silver blue water. Continue for her to swirl deep within that realm. Take her celestial body into that higher place of the Ancient of Days. Cause her to see what she hasn't seen before. Give her fresh revelation into the Ancient of Days. Put on the garment of praise, put on the garment, the vesture, the garment of light. Kiarabasi, kiarabasi, kiare. Kiarabasi, kiarere. Kiarabasi, kiarere. Take each and every one here, Holy Spirit, where they need to be. Give them fresh revelation of who they are, the magnificent, sparkling being that they are, the evolution of the infinite being within them. Take them to the higher Christ consciousness within them. Let them know that they are infinite beings. Kiarabasi kiarere shiarere. Kiarabasi kiarabashiarere. Bring the cosmos and the universe within to explode within. Kiarabasi kianarere. Horabasi kiarara. Touch heaven on earth. Heaven on earth. Heaven on earth. Heaven on earth. Open up the portal. Kurabasiki arere. Horabasiki arara. Open up the portal. The portal to the Ancient of Days. Kiarabasiki arere shiarere. So let it be. And lastly, I call upon the 4 elements: earth, fire, wind, and water. Combine the 4 elements together and into the Merkaba, into this pyramid. Combine it into each one of us here. Cause the change and the shift. Take us to the next quantum, into our evolution. Adjust. Assist us in adjusting to the next quantum. Thank you, everyone. So in the next few days, just be kind to yourself. There may be a lot of changes in your mind and in your heart, in your emotions. There'll be a lot of shift. So just be kind to yourself, be gentle to yourself. And again, allow the integration of change to come into you. Thank you, everyone. Over to you, Warren.
Okay, so thank you, Grace. And thank you, everyone. So look, thank you for coming. I just feel to leave it there for the night now, and if you got any questions, and just keeping an eye on the Facebook group, which is City Awakening. We'll be advising of further trainings and regular meetings and get-togethers and that over the coming days, because now that people will be more at home, which they definitely will be, as there's been all kinds of, as you know, things happening in society now to lock things down or whatever. Yeah, basically that means people will be a lot more at home and probably require some more interaction so your mind doesn't go crazy. And in any event, as I said, this is a time to wait for the downloads, because a lot's going to come out of this. It's going to be a very good outcome, even though for the next little while there's going to be an interesting and challenging time. So thank you, everyone. I'll see you all shortly.